Today we are going to be recreating Sarah J Maas's writing routine. Now, if there's one thing about me, it's that I'm an acotar girl. Genuinely though, acotar is the series that made me fall back in love with reading, made me want to write again if we're being so for real, and I just owe a lot to that series. It is the most fanatical I've been about a singular series since I was young. So I've wanted to create some of these trying writing routine videos, and it felt only fitting for us to start with the one and only Sarah J Maas, since I am in fact a stan. This video was heavily inspired by Sarah Labrat. I loved her take on this video, and the writing routine that I'm doing today will be completely taken from and inspired by what she did in that video. So first things first, we need breakfast. So let's mosey on over to the kitchen. So apparently Sarah J Maas has a very interesting taste in breakfast. She has 3 drinks and 3 pieces of turkey bacon. Very random. So essentially she has a glass of water, a glass of orange juice, and a glass of tea, and then 3 pieces of turkey bacon. I don't eat meat, so I'm gonna be making some like plant-based breakfast sausages as my replacement for the turkey bacon. Same vibe. The 3 drinks is really mysterious to me. Personally, I'm not a orange juice girl, but we'll make it work. All right, let's get cooking. Okay, here we are. 3 beverages, a plate of breakfast sausages. Even though this breakfast is simple, I never even take this much time to cook myself something in the morning. I always have just like a bagel or something very quick. So it kind of felt nice to slow down a little bit and focus on making myself this very interesting breakfast. Yeah, that's fire. Okay, so apparently Sarah starts off her day with admin tasks, which I'm assuming for her looks like answering emails, inquiries about her work, maybe communicating with her team, you know, business things, since she is a full-time author, obviously. I personally do not have any emails or anything to answer since my email inbox is very dry. Brands, if you would like to sponsor me, hit me up. I have been meaning, however, to update my budget spreadsheet, so I think that's what we're gonna do. That feels like an admin task, kind of serves the same purpose. I'm guessing she likes this because it kind of warms her up for her day before she gets into creative work. Seems like she's more of an afternoon evening writer than a morning writer. I feel like I'm personally the opposite. I like an evening writing session, but my favorite is when I'm able to write kind of first thing in the morning, but it doesn't matter what I like today. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my laptop and we'll do some admin work while I have this glorious breakfast. Okay, so we're now gonna get into the writing. I did my little admin tasks this morning and I'm feeling excited to get into the project. So Sarah's regular uniform for writing is supposedly a fandom t-shirt, which I have this Harry Potter one. So we're gonna go with that. Fandom socks, though I'm not gonna be wearing those because the only fandom socks I have are Scooby-Doo socks, and 1, they're not comfortable, and 2, I don't even like Scooby-Doo. Not that I have beef with Scooby-Doo, but I wouldn't say it's like a fandom I'm a part of, so I feel like that defeats the purpose. So we're just gonna go with these like fuzzy slippers instead, similar cozy vibes, and I was already wearing these leggings. So I think we're suited up to get into things. So apparently Sarah really likes to shut herself in her office when she writes. She basically hibernates in her own little world, and that's how she gets her productive writing sessions done. That's personally not my usual style. If you guys have seen any of my writing vlogs, you know that my go-to system is to actually leave my apartment to write. I like going out on writing dates to cafes or outside, and actually getting out of my space helps me be more creative. So this is kind of a foreign concept to me, is burrowing in the office all day for hours at a time am working on my writing project, but we're gonna try to make the most of it and see if we can get a productive session in. If I am gonna write in my office, I typically prefer to do it at nighttime. Anytime I'm doing like computer work in the office, I would rather it be at night. I just feel like during the day I have this like craving to be out and about in the world and not just like holed up. But we're following the Sarah J Maas Bible today. I don't make the rules. So she really likes to have sort of an oasis, a vibe to her space. I think she's called it like a sanctuary. So I'm gonna do the things that create my own sort of writing sanctuary. The most obvious one is just lighting a candle. I'm obsessed with this one from Replica right now. It's called Matcha Meditation. Vibes. I'm also gonna light up this sunset lamp. I don't even think you can see it in the shot, but my sunset lamp is on now. She does also listen to music. I think she said she listens to movie soundtracks. And if my memory serves me correctly, she actually has some playlists on Spotify that she's created. Apparently these playlists no longer exist, which I'm thoroughly bummed. I am thoroughly bummed. Let me see if there's like a writing ambiance playlist that I can find. I don't usually write with music, but we're gonna give it a shot today, see if she's onto something. Last time we wrote, I did get a little bit stuck, so I'm a little bit nervous going back into the project just because things were really hard and not flowing last time I wrote. But I know I just gotta break through that initial barrier and then hopefully I can get back into the groove with it. Sarah's usual word count goal is to get at least 1,000 words per day, which feels doable. I think that's what we're gonna aim for today. But also, apparently, the highest word count day that she's spoken about was like 18,000 words when she was working on A Court of Mist and Fury. Slightly mind-blowing. Slightly mind-blowing, but also I feel like A Court of Mist and Fury has the energy of somebody writing it in like a full fever dream hallucination state. Like I feel like that book is such magic and it makes so much sense to me that she was writing it in like a mad sprint. That's so like genius in the writing cave vibes. And I love that, but we're not getting 18,000 words today. Let's just put that out there right now. All right, I'm gonna play this playlist and let's get writing. It feels so weird to be doing this in the middle of the day in my office, but you know, Sarah knows what she's talking about, so we're gonna trust her judgment on this one. I did also bring over my tea from earlier since a drink is one of the ways that I like to set the vibes when I'm doing a writing session. So. Okay, first writing session of the day is complete. I got 630 words in that session, which is honestly pretty good for a writing session for me, I would say. I'm definitely planning to continue writing more this afternoon, but I'm going to take a break because I have brunch plans with some friends. So I have a feeling Sarah J Maas takes a break for meals. So we're gonna let it slide, but yeah, I wrote 630 words. This scene, guys, I actually don't know if I've talked at all about the story or the project that I'm working on so far because we've been so focused on the writing routine itself. But in case you're new to the channel, just some quick context. I'm working on an adult romantasy novel. This is the first novel that I've written since I was like a teenager. So it's been a process. We're currently working on the rough draft. I'm about 52,000 words in and we're on chapter 29. So basically the story follows a trio of characters on their journey to try and escape from the evil rule of the ruler, who also happens to be the love interest's father. It's quite a web going on. But yeah, it's a journey book. There's magic, there's romance, dystopian sort of vibes. It's a lot of fun. Very fitting for a Sarah J Maas writing routine, I feel. The scene that I'm currently working on, like I mentioned, it's been very difficult. It is a pinnacle moment for the couple. It's their first major argument as well as a peak in their romantic tension. So it's like a whole mix of emotions and I'm trying to give it the dramatic moment that it deserves. Secrets are coming out, revelations are occurring, things are hitting the fan. So it's kind of an intense scene, as well as there's a lot of emotional content and subtext going on in the scene. There's confessions, like I said, there's secrets being revealed. So I really need to find the best ways to display and describe the emotions that both characters are feeling throughout this exchange, while also trying to stick with show don't tell, but also having some internal monologue from our lead character. There's just a lot of layers. And I feel like when a scene has a lot of layers, obviously that's when it's trickier for me and that's when it tends to take me more time. So honestly, being able to get over 600 words on a scene like this, that's such a pinnacle moment, feels massive. much more so than it would if I got 600 words on like a transitional scene. Chapter 29 is still not wrapped up, but I do feel strongly that we could wrap it up today. And I think that's gonna be my new goal. I'll feel very accomplished if throughout this Sarah writing routine, we're able to finish chapter 29. Speaking of the writing routine, something that Sarah J Maas has mentioned is that she keeps a mirror in her office so that she can look at the mirror and basically like do the facial expressions of the characters to try and figure out how to describe them. Thankfully, I do have a mirror in this office. There it is. It's like a giant closet mirror, and I did kind of test it out during that writing session. I had to have a character like grab the face of another character, so I was like using the mirror in my own hands to try and figure out like how they would hold the face. It also reminded me of a moment I had with a friend where we were at a cafe and I was writing and they were working on some project as well. And I was like, I think I was tilting my head down because I was trying to envision how a character would have their head positioned. And it was so subconscious. I wasn't even like thinking that I was doing it, but I was like mimicking the character movement. And they were like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I was like, yeah, just like trying to figure out my character actions. Don't mind me. I also mentioned in a past vlog that something that I'll sometimes do that I feel like is sort of similar is I'll reference my character pictures, which are really just like loose references. They're AI pictures that I pulled from Pinterest, but they help me to visualize my characters. I'll look at those and that will help me sometimes if I'm struggling to imagine my characters in the scene. So sometimes I'll just like stare at those character pictures and then I'll be able to picture them in the room, or in this case, they're in like a train car. I can picture them and then it becomes a lot easier for me to visualize what dialogue they'd be saying, what movements they'd be doing, where they're standing. And honestly, that is such a little hack for me. Having the visual cue of a picture to look at helps so much with making it easier to just imagine a scene. Sometimes it feels like scenes are pretty clear and pretty easy for me to visualize. And then there's other times like this scene where it's all kind of muddy. I'm like, I don't know what these characters are. I don't know what they're doing. And I need to continuously come back to these pictures and be like, okay, this is what my characters look like. Let's think about what they'd be saying, what they'd be doing in this scene. I feel like having some of those little like tips, tricks, little methods up your sleeve can be so freaking helpful when you just need like a quick fix to get you back into the scene or to help you break past like a little section where you're stuck. So I strongly recommend experimenting with some things like that yourself, whether that is the mirror method that Sarah likes, or finding some character pictures that you can stare at, or even publicly in a coffee shop doing some weird head movements, whatever it has to be. Don't be afraid to do some of those more like physical or visual things to help you get into your scene, because sometimes writing a scene can feel a little abstract, a little overwhelming, and you just need a little method like that to pull you back into the story. Hi from future Brielle. This actually brings up a fun question. If there's any sort of like little tricks or hacks that you use personally to help you immerse in the world of your story or visualize your story, I would be so curious to hear, whether it's something similar to the things I described here or literally anything else you do to help you with immersion or visualizing your scenes. I would love to hear it. So drop those techniques down in the comments so that I can steal some of them. Yeah. I am going to go off to my brunch plans, and then we're going to come back and hopefully knock out the rest of at least 1,000 words for the day, since that is Sarah's like baseline goal, which I think is a great baseline goal. Time to change out of this very comfortable Harry Potter t-shirt to make myself a little bit more presentable. It is several hours later. Lunch was very fun. I ended up walking around the area of the cafe after we had lunch, which was super fun, much needed. Felt good to get out and about, especially given the fact that this entire writing routine is very much in my apartment, but we're gonna get back into it. I'm going to go lock myself back up in my office, as Sarah J Maas would advise. It truly amazes me how many authors swear by this sort of, how would you describe it? Like hermit approach. I just literally could not relate less. I mean, I get it because there are certain tasks if I need to do deep work where I will typically do them at my desk. For example, editing, I need to do at my desk pretty much nowadays. I sit there for hours and I get it done. But for me, anything that requires me to be like specifically creative, I feel like I thrive more so in an environment that is not my typical environment. That being said, I do understand there's a certain comfort level that you can achieve in your own home that's very conducive to deep work. So I get that as well. Maybe I just haven't really experienced it yet because I've never done a long enough writing session in my office to like get into that flow and really experience the magic. I think that might be it. Although I'm pretty sure in my last vlog, I did write a good 2,000 words, most of it being in my office. Maybe I'm being a hypocrite. Anyway, all that being said, I'm feeling a little nervous getting back into it because I know it's an undertaking, but I have an infinite amount of time really. So if it takes me a while to get into it, if I'm moving slow, it doesn't matter. I still think we'll be able to get some good progress because I have a good amount of time to dedicate to writing. I will say this evening time I feel like is prime if I am going to be writing in my apartment, so I'm hoping that the vibes will be good. I made myself a little fruit smoothie, so I'll have that. And I did actually kind of like writing with music earlier. At first it was a little bit off-putting, but I feel like with that sort of lo-fi ambiance music, eventually it just kind of fades into the background and I'm no longer consciously aware of it. And at that point I feel like it helps me be in the flow. Helps me be in the zone. Okay, let's bring the smoothie back into the office. All right, we are back in the Sarah J Maas uniform. Let's finish chapter 29. I'm procrastinating because I'm intimidated, but we can do this. We already started for today. We can do it. But first, candle check, inspiring ambiance check. Let's pull back up the writing ambiance playlist I was using. Alright guys, we are officially done with this challenge. I tallied up my total word count for the day between my 2 writing sessions on this calculator. So I got 1,229 words for the day. You know what? It's probably going to be backwards, even in this screen recording, but just take my word for it. So I'm feeling pretty pleased that we broke through 1,000 words for the day. I finished chapter 29, which means we are officially in the 30s in terms of my chapters, which is an exciting little milestone. I feel pretty good about what I wrote. I feel like the quality was there. It was flowing a little bit easier. I wasn't self-editing as much as I was in my earlier session. And I think we got about 500 and change words during the session we just did. Trying out Sarah J Maas's writing routine was super fun. There were definitely some things that are very different from my own writing routine. That being said, I do feel like we got some productive sessions in, and I was pleasantly surprised by how I felt about having music playing. We'll see if that's something that I continue to do in the future or not. Overall, though, this challenge was a lot of fun, and it was interesting to get a little bit of a glimpse into what a day in the life of a full-time author kind of looks like, at least for one individual author. Obviously, if I had wanted to stay a little bit more true to her actual writing habits, I probably would have written for longer, maybe more of an uninterrupted writing session, but I did hit her sort of daily minimum, so I feel pretty good about that. I definitely feel like today the writing wasn't flowing a ton. I wasn't feeling very naturally motivated to write, and I do think part of that is because I missed that feeling of going out in public to work on the project, going to a coffee shop, but also I just think this section of the book is challenging, so that makes it a little bit harder to sink my teeth into. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like it, and if you're new to the channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing. I post a ton of writing related content, writing vlogs. I've been documenting the process of working on this book over the last several months, so if you want to catch up on my progress on this Project the Wall up until this point, you can check out the rest of the videos on my channel. If you made it all the way to the end, comment below a fantasy emoji. It can be like a dragon, a fairy, any of the fantasy emojis. Drop them in the comments. It was so fun getting to do a video around Sarah J Maas. We established at the beginning of the video, I love her, so this was such a little treat for me. I'm definitely down to do more writing routine videos in the future. If there's another author's routine you want to see me replicate, leave it down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with another one. Bye!